Alright, this hashtag Heroes Niantic thing is really nothing new. But for a bit of context, to make a long story short, what's going on here is that Niantic has once again pissed a lot of you off. As if the incompetence at their Go Fest years ago wasn't any indication, Niantic has a gift. Basically what they did is rescind the mobility, the pandemic, and quality of life bonuses that people got comfortable with. This is effectively what they did, which was take a change away that made it so that trainers were able to gather items from stops while still maintaining a safe distance from others. The range has been decreased from 80 meters to 40 meters. So basically everything you did before the pandemic is what Niantic is ushering people to do again, because apparently to them a pandemic not only doesn't exist, but it totally hasn't gotten worse. If you think the Delta strand has people shitting on themselves, there's another strand apparently, and it's supposed to be even worse. But Niantic chooses to be tone deaf to all of that, but then you have to also consider those with mobility issues. But that isn't everything. They actually responded to the outcry. Again, familiar territory. The health and well-being of players is our top priority, which is why we have implemented the new exploration bonuses in select geographies where it is deemed safe to be outdoors. Niantic, there's a Delta strand going around and it's supposed to be more contagious than the others. And there's one more strand after that that escapes me at the moment. We're still in pandemic status and some businesses have once again required people to wear masks. One of those being GameStop, whether you're vaccinated or not, and people, even if they are vaccinated, are still getting sick and dying. So go ahead and flip a coin on all of that while you remain tone deaf to the fact that we're still in a pandemic. Research has shown that taking walks outside is safe and confers several health benefits. And that's what this whole paragraph is, basically them being tone deaf. So basically they hear you, but they want you to still go outside and fly a kite and touch grass. Yeah, it's no different than the typical automated responses you get from these businesses that claim they hear you. And I guess to rub salt in the wound, they say this: we are assembling an internal cross-functional team, whatever the fuck that means, to develop proposals designed to preserve our mission of inspiring people to explore the world together. Well, you can always wear your mask, get vaccinated, and hope for the best as you play Pokemon Go. So yeah, that's the response Niantic gave you guys. And it's nothing more than another tone-deaf automated response. It brings me back, as it should do with all of you who had so much fun observing the Sword and Shield controversy. Remember the familiar message from Junichi Masuda? Thank you to all of our fans for caring so deeply about Pokemon. Recently I shared the news that some Pokemon cannot be transferred to Sword and Shield. I've read all of your comments and appreciate your love and passion for Pokemon. We appreciate your letter and all of your feedback. We hear you. We are humbled by your response. Not every game has such a passionate global player base that we're fortunate enough to have. Now, I'm not saying that they don't give a shit, but you now know how an automated response sounds. Just like all of you, we are passionate about Pokemon, and each and every one of them is very important to us. After so many years of developing the Pokemon video games, this was a very difficult decision for me. I like to make one thing clear. Even if a specific Pokemon is not available in Sword and Shield, that does not mean it will not appear in future games. We're not gonna fix the problem, but we're gonna put our half-ass band-aid over it instead. So do you guys see the connection here? These corporations don't give two fucks about any of you. It's all business. That's why when people try to villainize the critics, those people being bootlickers, they cannot realize the deafening transparency here. So much for all of the respectful feedback and positivity. They're gonna say they hear you, but then turn around and do the thing you find so damning anyway. Nevertheless, I want to highlight some things as I move on to my final and ultimate point when it comes to these types of things. Oh shit, wrong screen. Do you know who else decided to insert themselves in the outcry against Niantic? Joe, Arbiter of Truth, and Game Freak Gatekeeper Merrick. Damn, he needs two legal names, doesn't he? Hashtag Heroes Niantic. The Pokemon Go community. Practically every single YouTuber and prominent player has come together to share this message. Please take heed. The initial changes benefit everyone with no drawback. I'm sure you all can agree with that. Here's another one. Not really sure how I feel about the only way to get Mega Energy revealed being through raid battles. That makes it very pay to win and locks out a lot of people who can't raid with others. I really hope there's another way to get the energy that doesn't require raids. Again, more stark criticism towards Niantic. And pay to win? Gee, I wonder how he feels about Pokemon Unite. I really hope it's a typo on the Incense Day event description saying there's a box for an incense for 1 coin. The prior Incense Days, including January's, gave 3 incense. After the Community Day special research rewards getting reduced, I'm not getting my hopes up. More sound criticism for Niantic. We have to see what he says otherwise when the target isn't someone like Niantic.
Like, I swear sometimes part of the Pokemon community is in a bubble that is just unaware of how game development works, because I totally know how it works, because I'm the webmaster of Cerebi. Dude, just trust me. Or how industry trends are. Though granted, the lack of knowledge of how game development works does extend to the overall gaming communities.
And of course, when it comes to anyone dissecting and criticizing anything about Game Freak's products, they have to be the ignorant ones, because he thinks a webmaster is also a game designer. So the gatekeeper here thinks he's the only one worthy of saying what is misinformation. That's one of his many pretentious shticks. The other one being a whiny bitch who's always a victim every time someone points that out to him. So yeah, when people were talking about Sword and Shield were rushed, content was sold to you in the DLC, it's written off as a false narrative, misinformation and the like, but Niantic needs to chill with all of that pay to win bullshit and take heed to the hashtag #HearUsNiantic. Also, you can't criticize the Switch as well and why it can't run 4K in 2021, even though Microsoft and Sony have already figured that out with the Series X Xbox and the PS5. This pretentious asshole is so rich with the misinformation, contorted truths, and false narratives that he pretends he also develops video game hardware and actually owns a PS5 and or Xbox Series X to claim that they sound like a Chinook, to of course help his false narrative that he can only write off as an exaggeration. I'm willing to bet one of these random people actually own a PS5 and or an Xbox Series X over the guy with a false narrative that has been grossly exaggerated.
When you look at comments on a post about Let's Go and see someone say they'd get it if it came to Xbox One.
Gotta defend Daddy Game Freak because they would never do the cross-platform thing and sell Pokemon or collaborate with anyone over there in Microsoft land. And who could forget this one?
I said it directly last night, but hashtag thank you Game Freak. You've created a franchise I love and have dedicated a large chunk of my life to. We appreciate you, Daddy.
This gatekeeping and biased arbiter of truth will withhold any kind of stark criticisms from Game Freak, but he won't hold back with Niantic? Yeah, sure, it's easy to say Niantic is tone deaf and completely disregarded the criticism they claim they heard. The Bring Back National Dex, crowd movement, whatever you want to call it, and anyone who dared to criticize Game Freak were considered the villain in every kind of way. You know how the arguments went, because these bootlickers and their toxic positivity somehow was superior. But it's nice to know that Joe, arbiter of truth,
because I run a 20-plus-year-old Pokemon website,
is every bit of that pretentious and gatekeeping pseudo-intellectual that I said he was. Bias and all. It basically boils down to,
hell, Daddy Game Freak
and
Niantic, get your shit together.
Ace Trainer Liam, another Game Freak cuck, had this to say, villainizing Pokemon fans in general. It makes them vaginal the way someone celebrates something. And look who chimed in to one-up his cuck buddy.
So they can bitch and whine based on irrational notions like they did in June, because I'm totally that gatekeeping dickhead who swears I know every damn thing because hashtag Cerebi.net.
Yeah, the holy matrimony of Game Freak cucks. Why is Callum the only reasonable one here? I'm just gonna enjoy myself. And that, ladies and gents, is exactly how you have to go about things in any community. I see a lot of people wasting so much life energy on things that don't concern them in the slightest and that they can't change in any way. Stop being a fucking delicate snowflake, flat earther and the like, allowing people to ruin your enjoyment while being one of these assholes thinking that you're some kind of arbiter of truth that can only gatekeep what's best for everyone. Because here's the thing, whether it's Game Freak, Niantic, or any of these corporations out here, I already mentioned that they don't give two fucks about any of you, right? Ladies and gents, it's time to have that talk. We all, myself included, need to be way more accountable. Game Freak, as you witnessed from Junichi Masuda's mouth, mouth, has already made it clear that no Pokemon games, main series Pokemon games at that, for the foreseeable future will support all Pokemon. Never mind reasons, excuses, bootlickers, critics. Take this to heart. Why? Well, allow me to add some weight to the punk-ass cop-out of
If you don't like it, don't buy it.
because that's all brainlets who have no argument can respond with every time someone criticizes anything. You know why it's good to not support what you don't like? Well, after all of the kicking and screaming, ladies and gents, you do not want to become two of the worst types of consumers: settlers and double dealers. Settlers speak for themselves. They'll buy anything as long as that company's name is engraved in it. It could be a fecal stew, hot and ready, shipped out to retailers, and they will be in line on launch day, supporting it if they haven't already scalped it online. But the double dealers that I feel are the absolute worst are the ones that will rant and rave and be vehemently against something, but then turn right around after trying to rationalize and find many shitty excuses and support the thing they bitch and moan about anyway. We all are guilty of this, and we all should be better than this, because it makes no sense to repeatedly set ourselves up for disappointment, just like when we allow ourselves to be hyped for no reason, whether rumors and leaks are involved or not. They hear you, but you end up getting an automated response that's most likely tone deaf anyway. So when the 4th gen remakes and Legends Arceus release, if you get the games and you're upset that your Pokemon aren't supported in them, you honestly have no one but yourselves to blame. Game Freak made it very clear, just like Niantic made it very clear, take your asses outside anyway, knowing exactly how they treat you. Again, look in a mirror. The best way to get these companies to actually listen to you is through the best criticism, that vote from your wallet. I know overnight and in the real world, Pokemon isn't going to immediately die financially. I mean, it is the highest grossing franchise after all. Just like I know Pokemon Go will still get support regardless of these changes, because people will surely move on and forget that this was a thing, because that's what people do. Again, they double deal if they don't settle for something. They rant and rave and then they settle down and act like none of this ever happened because they end up supporting the shit anyway. Have some integrity, ladies and gents. The vote from your wallet is truly the best criticism out of it all. These corporations aren't your friends. They're here to make money, and they will make it regardless because of the aforementioned types of consumers and the consumer base in general. So no matter how much we screech at each other back and forth, they're going to make money, and you're going to get responses like this, and it's up to you to handle it properly. Other than that, it's nice to know that they're still infighting while these companies are laughing at a lot of your dumb asses. You know why? Because they know that these are the perfect distractions that will get supported regardless, and it keeps the heat away from them. And now you know why they will never truly be held accountable.